I hope you can hear me, and I hope you're all well and safe. Thank you for creating time to be part of this Fall Protection Plan webinar. Anyone who works at heights may be at risk of a serious fall while performing work tasks. So this Fall Protection Plan webinar is aimed at providing you with the knowledge and the skills needed to minimize fall hazards and even protect you from serious injury or death. My name is Grace Gikonyo. I'm the Brand and Marketing Executive at Visca Industrial Capacity Limited, which is also the host of today's webinar. Allow me to briefly introduce Visca before we delve into the discussion of the day. Visca is an organization that offers training, consultancy, and also resourcing in engineering technology. We have branches in Kenya, Uganda, and also Tanzania. We've been offering on-site and off-site training in manufacturing and energy, IT, safety, and other general courses for various organizations. We're recognized for our top-notch quality training that we have been offering for over a decade now through customized sessions that cater to organizations' wants and needs. We have offered our services for companies in the whole of East Africa, and we pride ourselves in the ability to deliver valuable solutions through industry-based consultants and internationally recognized partners. Our trainer for today is Mr. Richard Joel Oduori. Richard is the head of safety at Visca Industrial Capacity with a vast experience training both corporate and private companies on work at height, firefighting, and equipment handling. He's also well trained in fall protection and rescue training from Institute of Work at Heights in South Africa, first aid training from Red Cross Kenya, TOT training from South Africa, fire marshal training from Morrison Engineering Limited, among other qualifications and trainings. Allow me to welcome Mr. Oduori. Meanwhile, for our participants, welcome. Let us mute our audios and stop our videos in order to concentrate fully on the presentation. If anyone has any questions or comments, kindly feel free to post on the public chat. Welcome, Mr. Oduori, once again.
Thank you, Grace. Good morning, delegates. Welcome to Work at Height Fall Protection Training. And I want to appreciate those who have been following us from the onset of all our webinars, those ones who are offering free, and these ones we are offering on paid up. Basically, we appreciate your time and your the opportunity that you've given us to train you and keep connected during this COVID period. And I also want to believe that wherever you are keeping safe and as well adhering to all the laid down regulations to make sure that all of us are safe for a better tomorrow. Our families need us, your organization needs you safely and healthy, and more so the country also needs you. So want to believe that we are taking all the necessary precautions and measures to be safe. And so let me delve into today's Work at Height Fall Protection Plan. And as earlier introduced by Grace, I'm Richard Oduori, the Client Solution Executive, and particularly a facilitator for Work at Height. At some point, I want to believe that some of you we may have met during training, and if we've not met, I'm looking forward to meet you one-on-one in any of our upcoming trainings once things normalize. But nevertheless, want to believe that this training is going to offer you information and insights that are going to keep you safe. Our targeted industry, particularly for Work at Height, when we look at fall protection, we're looking at the construction industry. So I want to believe that any of you, the delegates, you could be in any of these industries. This is the construction, the utility, the telecom, the manufacturing, the county government or national, the mining. You're either in the media industry, the cleaning service, the oil and gas, the rope access industry, the small working teams and individuals. You could also be just working as an individual. So any person working on any elevation, we are talking of not more than a meter. As so long as you are away from safe ground, then that is an elevation. There has been a wrong perception previously that you can only fall and get injured or seriously when you are at certain meters. Some have put it at 5 to 10, going to 20. But let me tell you, as so long as you are away from safe ground, it could be less than a meter. It will depend with how you fall. You can fall, you can slip and fall, and the neck goes down fast. The back goes down fast. Your spinal cord hits anything. And so any of those fall is likely to be even fatal. And so it's not that until you are above 5, 10 to 20 meters, as so long as you are away from safe ground, then that means you are already exposed to danger or you are at risk of injury. And so if you are within this industry that I've mentioned and many more, then definitely what needs to come in your mind any other time you're planning to work is to think of a fall protection plan. And this is what I want to talk about today. And it's one of the most interesting subjects I've always enjoyed, because once you understand a fall protection plan, then you're going to make your work easy. You're going to make your work, the work for the organization you work for, and even for the team you work with, to be easy, flowing, and even enjoyable, because you trust each other, you've taken all the measures necessary, you have gone ahead and even planned on how best to protect and secure yourself. And this is what we call fall protection plan. What is it? Before we delve into it, specific outcome that you should be able to understand after this training is that you will be able to provide a safe working environment, and you will be able to administer the use of fall protection measures as outlined, techniques, and even equipment as expected. And all this comes around for the sake of your own safety. If you understand a fall protection plan, then you are good to work at height. So fall protection plan is what we say that any person working on any elevation must have a detailed fall protection plan. And this ensures that you have the highest degree of your own safety. The moment you have a plan, then it means you mind about your own safety, you care about yourself, and you also care about your colleagues. So the aim of this fall protection plan is to provide a safe working environment, and it will help you to administer the full fall protection measures, techniques, and equipment as outlined. And so a fall protection plan brings all the information about a work site and even safety. They are all combined as one thing. The Occupational Health and Safety Act of 2007, OSH, for those who know, and I know I'm talking to some managers, EHS officers, and the various guiding regulations state that certain requirements by law, and these requirements in regard to work at height, must be followed. They are categorized in the following framework that I want to outline so that you start working on your own fall protection, depending with your industry. And so let's move one after the other. The fall protection plan will be categorized so that when you are working it out with your colleagues, with your supervisor, with your manager, or as an individual, definitely it gives you the guideline, it gives you a roadmap of your own safety depending with the work you want to do. Number one, we are looking at designations. The roles and responsibilities of people involved at work at height. Yesterday, when I was talking to one of my good clients, happened to visit them at their office, I just found one of the technicians already being assigned work on a certain location. And one of the things I could tell clearly was that He was able to document things, the equipment he needed, the resources he needed, and even the site location. This is just one among the things that people document. But then as an individual, what are your roles and responsibilities in this particular work? Are you a maintenance technician? Are you one of those ones who are going to install? What are you going to do in this particular assignment? You need to understand whether you are the manager, the supervisor, or the person to deliver the work. You need to understand your role and what you are going to do. Because once that is outlined clearly, then definitely it makes your work easy. The rest of the things, as I will be outlining, will be falling in place one after the other. And so if you are a team, this calls for each one of you to agree that on this particular assignment, who is going to do this, who is going to do job C, who is going to do job D, who is going to do job X. You cannot get to a site, and this is when you start planning while there, and this causes some argument. At times, people look at height and start fearing that you go first, and this becomes a push and pull. And that is why this has to be outlined on onset. It forms part of the fall protection plan. It saves time, it makes it clearer so that by the time you get to the site, there are no arguments, there is no push and pull. We know who is starting the first role, who is joining in, and then the work is delivered within a short time. And so any other time you're thinking of fall protection plan, you start with the roles and responsibilities of who is supposed to do what. Then we move to the next thing, which is work site information. People have gone to site without understanding where they're going to work. And by the time they get there, they realize, I needed to have taken with me A, B, C, D. All this happens because you did not have worksite information. And this is why now we are telling you that before you move to the site, you need to understand some of the following. Where is this assignment? Where is the site? Where is this job? In this particular area where there's a lot that you need to capture. One among them, is the assignment easily accessible? Is the assignment far or it's nearer? Is it within an area of safety? Is it within a densely populated area? Is it in a national park? Is it in isolation? Is it in the northern part of the country where we are talking about safety and security issues? The weather condition in such areas, hot or humid, sunny or scorchy, windy or cold, freezing. Where is this site? Do you get to sit down? I appreciate that in some incidences, work comes up when there is little time. But please, wherever the case, these are critical things that you have to look into, because by the end of the day, it is not the work to be delivered. It is your safety first so that the work is delivered as expected. So get to understand where this work site is and what is the information around it. Gather as much as possible, whether from your supervisor, whether from the contractor, whoever is giving out this job. Can you get to understand a lot of information where it is? Because it helps you to plan well. When is the work? Is it immediate? When it's immediate, it calls for quick action. There are things that need to be mobilized within that short time. Is it tomorrow? Is it a week? The duration when the work is supposed to be done determines the planning, determines the equipment, determines everything you need to put together. How is the work going to be done? That is now your expert area. The expertise, the knowledge, the skills comes in on how this job is going to be delivered. I don't want to delve more into this because now this is your area of specialization. I'm bringing in the safety aspect for you as an individual, because with the skills and the expertise, without safety and knowing very well that you're working on an elevation, then definitely is not going to help you much. Who is going to do this work? This now falls into those who are the managers, the supervisors. They need to understand this work site, this particular assignment. Who is going to deliver? How do you understand the experience? How do you understand their fear phobia? How do you understand how well they are versed or how they are able to cope and adapt in different environments? Have they been able to do these assignments before, so that you also ride on their experience? And so when looking at worksite information, there's a lot that goes into it before determining that this work needs to be done in this particular manner. When all this is addressed, then time taken to deliver is very short. Number 3, we are talking about risk assessment. What are the risks that are involved? You already understand where the site is. You already know when. You already know how. You already know by who. So now it comes to the next level, the risks involved. Where I'm going to work, it's in a slum. So what are the risks within this area? Where I'm going to work, the site is in a densely populated area. What are the risks that I'm likely? These are things you are able to come up with. You are able to document, you are able to outline, you are able to pick out based from experience, based from information, available in your database. You can get this information. And so make sure once you know where, when, and you have the right site information, you are able to document the risks that you are likely to encounter, because thereafter, you are able to carry along preventive measures, and mitigating steps will be definitely put in place. How to manage those risks? Discuss with your supervisor. Discuss with your colleagues. You work as a team. We have always said, when you work as an individual, then you will die alone. Because if you are in a site that is very far, it is in isolation. If something happens to you, who will come to your rescue? Who will be there to assist and support you? Who will be there for you? And so always make sure that you don't work alone. Plan very well that with the identified risks, how best are you going to manage them? Then we talk about training and certification. Workers must be competent to perform certain tasks where risks are involved. When you are working on height, there is a risk involved. When you are working on an elevation, there is a risk involved. And so we are telling you that get some training to understand how to navigate going up and coming down safely. Are you able to use your pylon hooks very well? Are you able to secure yourself with the work position, the double shock absorbing lanyard? Are you able to navigate horizontally or vertically? Do you have the necessary training? So in work plan, we require you to have some training that is basic. You understand the correct equipment, the inspection criteria. And so time and again, make sure that you are also able to understand what is required in training and the necessary training that you also require to do the work that you are expected to do. And then number 5, we are looking at the equipment inspection records. The equipments you are using, are they inspected? In previous trainings, I've been able to outline that you need to have equipment inspection records where these equipments are documented, the serial numbers. You are able to have the date of manufacture. You are able to have the last time you inspected and the condition of the equipments. We have both the software, which are the weaving parts, and then we're talking about the hardware, which are the metal parts on your equipments. Make sure that you keep the records of these equipments, both the ones for safety and even those equipments that you also have. Because by the end of the day, you cannot afford to travel to a site and only to realize you have a faulty equipment. When you have a faulty equipment, then definitely that is a wasted day. Nothing will be delivered. And that is why the inspection record is there to help you check so that as you plan to move on your site, you have the correct equipment for safety and even for your own delivery, the ones you use. Make sure that these records are kept. In the event you are not there, any other person assigned this particular responsibility or task is able to look at those records and confirm that the equipments are good for use. Never be mischievous, knowing very well that the equipment is faulty and yet you are leaving it there. You never know who will use it next and what consequences it's likely to cause. And so in the event you realize the equipment is faulty, please make sure that you communicate, you notify the immediate person responsible. Always what we say, you remove it first and then you replace. Do not leave a faulty equipment within the other equipments because you are risking your own life. You never know on what side of the bed you will sleep on the day. You may wake up the next day and you have forgotten that yesterday this equipment was faulty and you use it, and by the end of it all, disaster. So make sure that records are there to be followed and they are able to be checked with whoever is using particular equipment. Standard operating procedures number 6. Within the fall protection plan, things you need to know. When you're moving to a site, we have the guiding operating procedures of the organization you work for. But then also, we have what we call site requirements or policies. Do you understand where you're going to work? What are the requirements? What do the policies say? You, as you're being assigned this responsibility, do you take time to ask all these questions? Remember, you get to a site, you're required to have a code. For those who work in the telecom industry to access a site, we have those ones who require passwords. We have those ones who require access letters or authorization. There are several operating procedures and policies that govern different sites, different industries, and different work setups. Plus, including the owners of the contract, what do they really want and how are you expected to behave? Because different sites have different requirements, have different procedures, have different policies. Please make sure that you get this information about the operating procedures of a particular site so that by the time you get there, you work within the confines of those requirements. Remember, some of these are contracts, and these contracts, if any of the requirements is not adhered to, it's likely to cost the organization, it's likely to cost you, even as a person, your job. And so get to understand different places, environments, regions, culture of the people you're working with. There's a lot that goes within the operating procedures. Even the team, there is religion. Make sure that you are in sync with all this information that surrounds what are the policies, procedures that you need to understand for you to be able to deliver your work. What are the risks that are involved? Have you been able to understand those ones that have been documented? We have some sites definitely have warnings that we have wild animals roaming. We have high voltage electric cables just above you. There are several risk information available that have been documented. Do you take time to look at all that? Do you inquire? Do you get to check? Because by the end of the day, it is your safety we are talking about. We cannot afford to lose one life just because of negligence or non-compliance of what is supposed to be done by you as the person to deliver the task. And number 7, we are looking at rescue procedure. Anytime you're working at height, one of the things you need to put in place, one of the things you need to have taken care of very well is the rescue procedure. If it happens, assuming you sleep, do you understand what needs to be done? Do you understand the equipment that is to be used for rescue? We say that in all situations, there must be some rescue procedure if anything happens. It has to be planned for. You don't wait until it has happened for you to be able to start working on what needs to be done. If somebody is suspended mid-air in their body harness, it can only take between 15 to 30 minutes, because within that period, the body is still able to use the little blood that was flowing. Thereafter, remember that you have nerves within the groins that are already pressed, and so there is no blood flow that is happening within your body. And so it will only take between 15 to 30 minutes before the body starts shutting down one after the other of your body system. And so you don't plan for a rescue when it has already occurred. That is why you're called upon to plan before, that these things do happen. Accidents happen. That is why even those who drive, you take insurance because you know accidents happen. This is the same as for you who is working at height. For any procedure, before you take up any task, remember to plan for a rescue procedure. This one requires you to have the correct equipment, requires you to understand how to perform the rescue, and if you'll be able to take up our level 2, if you have not done one, or a refresher if you've done one and forgotten the drill, or you've never done anything at all to do the rescue, please make a date with us when things normalize to take a fall arrest technician level 2 training, so that we are able to take you through how best to understand a rescue and be able to perform it. You can do it on a colleague, you can do it on a site, you can do it anywhere you're called upon, because you will have become a technician. And number 8, number 8, sorry, we are reviewing the schedule. You've already put in place measures for rescue. You've already known where the site is. There are several things that you need to review, and I'll be able to work with you within the forms that you can work with to ensure that you have an up-to-date safety plan on site. You need to understand what is suspension trauma. This is where you are mid-air. A slip happened, an accident happened, the equipment, something went wrong, the structure, something that you did not expect happened. The next thing you need to do is to transfer yourself, transfer the weight of your body into the suspension, into the trauma belt. On some of the work at height equipment, the full body harness, the trauma belt is at the back. And some of the new equipments that are coming in, there is a long sling that is now tied in front of the D-ring where there is an anchor point, so that in the event of a slip, you can transfer yourself into this long sling. If you don't have the equipment, the full body harness that has the trauma belt at the back, the reason for you to transfer your weight into this is to release the pressure from your groins. And once you're able to release this pressure from your groins, then at least you're giving the rescue team some time as they plan to bring you down to safety. I don't want to guarantee you that you can be rescued within the stipulated period of 15 to 30 minutes. And that is why you have to transfer your weight into the suspension trauma. Because if you don't do this, then within the next 15 to 30 minutes, your body will start shutting down, and we cannot afford to lose anybody. This one is called upon on any person working at height. And if your colleague, it has happened, remember times it happens and people get into shock and forget. Remind them, if you are a team and you're there and it has happened, that please transfer your weight into the trauma belt so that now they are suspended with their weight being into the trauma belt. So what to do if you become suspended is what I've been taking you through, so that you minimize the level of injury. And then once the casualty, you are suspended, the people who are to perform the rescue, make sure that you take the shortest time possible. You go up, you install a rescue lifeline closer to the victim. Once you've done that, make sure you transfer the victim safely into the rescue line, following the correct procedure. I may be talking a language that some of you don't understand, but there is a proper procedure that is normally done. If you've never done a rescue, do not try gymnastics and things you don't know, because the damage or the damage or cases that you are likely to create could be more serious than even the initial case. Please call for assistance if you don't know. Make sure that before you even move to the site, that you also have communication channels already planned out. Who is to be called? Do you have an ambulance that you always work with, or do you have an ambulance number? Do you have an emergency number? Do you have an office number in your head that you can call without struggling, so that you save a life quickly? Make sure that you have the correct equipment that is required in the event that you need to rescue somebody. And so I want to show you a fall protection plan that we'll be able to share with you and see what it captures. You have to put there your job number. It captures the job location, and it even indicates who has completed this fall protection plan. You put the date of recording. You also put the task that you are going to deliver, if it's maintenance, if it's installation, if it's construction, and then you sign so that you become the owner of this particular document. Remember, you specify the tasks. You put the nature of the work, the duration that it's likely to take, because this helps you to plan well in advance. The description of the work must be captured properly. Tools and equipment to be used, both for safety and those ones that you require as an individual. You're talking about effects of weather, designated competent supervisor who is going to be looking at you and giving you guidelines. What are the trainings required? When you come to the fall protection systems, do you have a travel restraint? A vertical lifeline, is it available? Horizontal lifeline? How is your lanyard, the carabiner, the anchorage points, the connecting devices, the fall arrest, you're talking about the rope, the work positioning, and the self-restraining devices. Do you have these things documented? You are able to tick when you are on site. the anchor point locations. We have those ones that are permanent, and we have those ones that are self-identified. Are you able to tell where self-identified anchors are? And are you able also to tell where the permanent anchor points are? Be able to describe the steps that you are going to take as you go up and come down. Describe these steps very well, so that while you are performing this particular task, you don't miss out on anything. You need to have a rescue plan well documented. What is to be captured in this rescue plan is what I was able to outline for you. You have the fall arrest system. You're also able to discuss it with your colleagues and make sure that they also understand you are on the same page. You understand how to climb up and down within the rescue plan so that we don't have two victims if you do the wrong thing. Remember, if we already have a victim and you do the wrong thing, then we are likely to have another victim. And if you are working the two of you, then who will be able to rescue you? So make sure that you are able to understand this correctly. And so this requires you to have these procedures handled or managed very well. Also, you need to understand, how do you store your equipment? Some of these equipments, we leave them on site. If you leave them on site and you go back the next day, check, do we have rats? These are some of the things we are afraid of, because when they hear some sort of scent, whether smell or anything, they are good destroyers. So make sure that how you store your equipments for use, particularly for safety, for rescue, because some of them have weavings, have the material parts. They are safe and secure, and they are kept at a place that is quite secure. And remember, always before you even put them on, you have to make sure that you check and inspect both of them properly. While on site, I want to remind you, in the fall protection plan, inspect the system you are using, the guardrails. For those in the construction industry, the scaffolding industry, those ones that are using scaffolding systems, are you able to check the guardrails? Or if they have been installed on a structure, they must be from your waist going down. We are talking about fall factor 1. That is the waist and coming to the shoulders. Fall factor 0 is starting from the shoulders, going to the highest point where your hand can reach. Are you able to do an inspection of the guardrails? The temperature of the floor or of the site, is the structure too cold for you to be hanging on for long? Or is it within a scorchy environment and the tower, knowing that it's metallic or iron, is hot? Are the travel restraint checked very well? The work positioning, the fall arrest system, have they been put in the correct format? When you are able to do this correctly, inspect them correctly, then you have given yourself an assurance. They need to be documented so that if there is something faulty or something wrong, whoever is coming up tomorrow or any other time will look at these documentations and understand that something needs to be corrected in this particular area before I proceed to do the work that is required. And so the fall protection plan is a must, is a requirement, and it helps you have the peace of mind to deliver the specific tasks as required by your organization, by your supervisor, whoever has given you this job. And finally, you go back and start reviewing your fall protection plan. It does not matter the period you have been given the work. Take a small piece of paper, document these steps I've been able to take you through one by one, and review them. to understand that you've captured everything correctly as you require, because going to site safely and coming back safely is what everybody desires. That is what your organization desire. This is what your family desire. So go through the fall protection plan and make sure that, yes, I have taken care of everything I need. I have documented everything that I need. I have the correct information that I need, and I'm ready to proceed and go to deliver the tasks as expected. When it's all done properly, it is our joy. Your safety is our wish at all times. And remember that doing it correctly is the best thing we always desire. The best fall protection plan is what is documented and implemented according to your own documentation. And by the end of the day, if you do not fall, that is the best fall protection plan. I still remind you, the best fall protection is not to fall. Thank you. I have a few questions that I would want you to look at, and I expect that you'll be able to answer them. But before I move into the questions for the remaining period of time, because I need to see whether you have been following and be able to understand, if Grace, we have any questions or comments that people have before we move to the questions, for them to be able to look through what I've been able to take them through and align them with the questions and see if they are able to answer.
Okay, Richard, right now there are no questions on the public chat. I don't know if any of the participants have any questions. If you have any questions, you can post on the public chat, or you can raise your hand and we can unmute you. All right, Richard, there are no questions.
Okay, if there are no questions, we move now to the questions, because from the previous discussions, we had delegates. You have a question?
Yes, we do have a question. Mr. Kili is asking, kindly advise on what measures should be taken for fall protection on loading gantries, fuel loading gantries, and are safety harnesses calibrated?
Great. Safety harnesses are not calibrated. Different manufacturers have given different guidelines and procedures and instructions. And we always advise that as you are assigned a safety harness, what I still don't know is whether you use it as an individual or you keep on changing with your colleagues, that tomorrow you're using this particular one and tomorrow it's being used by a different person. Nevertheless, it's supposed to be inspected before and even after use. And so the procedure to confirm your own safety is to make sure that you inspect both the software, which are the weaving parts, any abrasions, any cuts, any discoloration, any stitches that have come off. And when you are inspecting the hardware part, you're talking about the pylon hooks and then the D-rings, you're able to check any rusts. You're going to check whether the locking mechanism is still automatic, because it's supposed to have a self-locking system. The moment it's not a self-locking system, then definitely it's out of use. So most of these equipments up to date, they are not calibrated Once they are damaged, they have to be pulled out of sight because it's all about your safety. The loading weight we recommend while you are going up carrying equipment is not more than 8 kilograms. Remember, you are having a full body harness with you that is between 6 to 11 kgs depending with the manufacturer. Then you're also having equipment that you are also using. So do not carry with yourself more than 10 kgs. In some of the harnesses, we have gear loops at the back that you can use to attach those equipments as you carry. In some of them, they do not have, and so you'll be able to use your carrier bag or your, depending with also your working clothes. Some of them have pockets, but do not take with you more than 10 kilograms because it will give you a lot of weight. Remember, the higher you go, the more this weight is being felt by you. You're not going to be up there in 5 minutes. You're going to be there for more than an hour. So you take enough weight that your body can hold on to within that particular period. And for those who are lifting heavy equipment, those who are lifting heavy machinery and they're supposed to pull it up, we recommend that you be able to take up our rope rigging training because that will be able to take you through how best to lift materials up there without struggling and by using the rope rigging system. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Richard, we have quite a number of questions.
We'll take 3, then we move to questions because we have less time left.
All right. Do we have standard lifespans or is it per manufacturer's recommendations? I think it's about the caliber.
The standard license requirement is that all work at height systems adhere to some standards. For those who have been able to attend our work at height basic, which shall be coming online, and you can be able to take our basic work at height training. It's only $10. You will be able to understand the standards that are the guiding principles within work at height. The EN standard for pylon hooks, they are well documented. The EN standard for full body harness, and the EN standard for work position, the EN standard for the slings, the EN standard for even anchorage points. Those who have been able to attend the previous sessions, we have been able to take them through these particular standards. And if you think that this should be the next training that you still require, then please you'll be able to communicate this to Grace, and then we can organize so that we take you through the standards. And these standards must be applicable across. It does not matter whichever manufacturer on those full body harness nor anchorage points, they must be indicating the same EN standard number. If it's not within those numbers, then it's not the correct one.
All right, the other question is, how do one come up with a good plan if they're working on an old tower which was erected long ago and they've never considered safety measures?
On an old tower, definitely there should be information from the contractor who worked on that tower. This information is supposed to be available. If a tower is owned by a particular network provider, then there should be information from the contractor when it was constructed, how long it has been in use, because the period is able to help you make a proper risk assessment. Because if you don't have the information about the construction of that tower, when it was done, then definitely as you come up with your risk measures, there are things that you may not be able to capture correctly. So always make sure that you ask for this information. It's for your own good. And once you ask, it's available. If it's not available, then something is not right somewhere. be able to be provided by this information. It was constructed in 2000. It has undergone this maintenance within this particular period. There must be a schedule of maintenance from the contractor if it's the same one still maintaining it, because this is the standard procedure that there must be some maintenance, or you could be the same one undertaking the maintenance. So ask for this information, because once you get this information, then it also forms part of your risk assessment as you work on the fall protection plan.
All right, the other question, Mr. Wellington is asking, I know fall protection plan procedures can be customized depending on the nature of work and environment, among other considerations, but he's also wondering if at VISCA we have a standard document that he can work with.
Yes, we have a standard document that I was outlining at the end, which we will be able to share with you, so that then from there are things you'll definitely omit, and there are things you'll be able to adopt and even customize based on your industry and the environment you're working in. But the one we have is a standard document that has been able to the one we've been able to come up with, considering that it captures different working industries, both the construction, the utility, the telecom industry, the rope rigging industry, and all these industries, the media, any other industry that has any elevation nature of work. Definitely they'll find this particular fall protection plan template applicable in most of the areas.
All right, 2 more questions. What is the best protection during heavy rain at site, and what measures would you take when you want to decommission a tower using a free fall method?
The best fall protection method during rainy season is to come down. You cannot afford the lightning. You cannot afford a slippery tower. We cannot afford a wet technician. Definitely, the best you can do to yourself, come down, wait for the rains to be over before you can proceed if it is safe. But as so long as the tower is wet, we always recommend it's still not safe, because anything can happen. The other question was?
What measures do you take when you want to decommission a tower using a free fall method?
Okay, there are equipments that definitely are normally recommended, and because this is an online training, we recommend that if they take up our full work at height level 2 training, we'll be able to take them through this particular equipment of free fall, so that they're able to appreciate the time taken, which is very short, and you cannot do it while using the normal full body harness. This is a special retractable lifeline that we normally train you so that you are able to engage it while you are able to perform this particular task. So we recommend that, because today we were handling fall protection, please take time and participate in our level 2, so that you have a practical training to be able to understand how best to do it. Do not engage yourself in something you have not been trained on, because you'll be risking your own life. And unless you have been trained on, that is the best way we would only recommend.
So Richard, that marks the end of our questions. Back to you.
Okay. To the delegates, kindly look at question number 1. What is the purpose of a fall protection plan? We'll be issuing you certificates based on the answers you'll be able to send to Grace individually, so that we understand that you've been able to capture. We are talking about preventing a building from collapse, reduce the risk of injury or deaths of workers performing work at height, ensure that people will only work on the ground. These questions will be coming your way as Grace shares, Please take note, question number 1, what is the purpose of a fall protection plan? Question number 2, what are the duties of the person supervising the work at height team in the fall protection plan? Enforce the fall protection plan, manage all work in accordance with safety principles, meeting in coffee shops away from the construction site, telecom site, utility site, or is to ensure that people don't perform work at height. Question number 3, why must a fall protection plan be reviewed or updated? Fall protection plans do not have to be reviewed at all. To keep the supervisor busy while the team members are working on the tower, to ensure that it is relevant to each new site where work at height is performed, to keep up with the standards applied within the industry. And the final question is, consider the 2 examples of change in weather that may affect the safety of workers at height and explain why it's dangerous in such conditions. Somebody had already preempted my question. Thunderstorm, not dangerous at all, work, not dangerous at all, work can continue. Lightning strike can be fatal, work at height must stop immediately. Workers must just put gumboots on, then it will be fine to continue with work. I know the questions are easy, but previously I've been shocked that somebody could fail all of them. Pass mark is 100 for all the 4 questions because they are so easy and they have multiple choices if you have been following us correctly. And that marks the end of our fall protection training today. I appreciate you delegates for having taken your time to understand this. I want to encourage you, starting today, it's not that it must reflect exactly what I've been able to articulate here, but at least start slowly by coming up with a fall protection plan at any other given opportunity to perform a task, including the one you are working on today, this week, or next week. Come up with a fall protection plan, go through it, review it, and just see, was this training helpful to you? Was it worthy for you and even for the organization? And we are hoping that soon the president will open up the space, remove all the restrictions, and for those who will be looking for certification training, our calendar will be up before at the beginning of July, and we hope to continue engaging you time and again. We are also coming up with an e-learning platform for work at height. All the documentation has been done, and very soon we shall be communicating so that our brothers and sisters working in different regions and cannot afford the luxury of time to come and train with us here, they can still take up this training online. And we have many other more trainings we offer that please get to check our website, our LinkedIn, our Facebook, so that you get to understand which ones are there and you can be able to benefit. And as I wind up, take measures to be safe wherever you are and take care for yourself. Any other time you're going to work on height, remember to stay safe at all times. Thank you so much. Grace will allow 5 to 10 minutes as soon as you, let me say 5 minutes, as soon as you wind up, so that we give them an opportunity to give comments and questions that we can pick up later and address to each one of them individually. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Richard. For those who are asking where you can be able to send the answers to the questions, I will share the presentation which also has the questions, and you can send the answers once you reply to the email. Thank you so much, Mr. Odori. My pickup point was the best fall protection plan is when you do not fall. So let's all bear that in mind. So if anyone has any other questions or comments, you can always email us, or you can also post on the public chat before we close the meeting. We will send you the training calendar for the people who've been asking about our Work at Heights training calendar. We'll also send to you. Also, those who are in the telecoms or fiber optics industry, we have a practical or classroom-based training on the 20th to 24th of July. We will send you details on that. And you can also check our website, www.viscacapacity.com. You can also check our Facebook, Visca Industrial Capacity Limited, our Twitter at Visca KE, LinkedIn, Visca Industrial Capacity Limited. And you can also check the trainings that we have that you may be interested in. Remember, we also train on general courses, and some of them are free and you can benefit from them. So thank you so much for sparing your time to be here, and have a lovely afternoon. Goodbye, everyone.
Participants, you have 5 minutes for compliments and comments before we sign out. So before you sign out, please, we appreciate your comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for the amazing feedback that we have received. Again, I repeat that I will be sending you the presentation, and it will contain the questions as well. You can always send the responses. So thank you so much and have a lovely evening. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chariot.